Happy Sunday, my lovely book club people. We are on episode 19 as we are reading Hope, a Memoir of Survival in Cleveland by Amanda Berry and Gina DeJesus. And I want to start out with apologies for not being here last week. Unfortunately, that's going to happen sometimes. Some days I wake up and it feels like I have a head cold, but it's not because of a real cold. It's because of my mental illness, and there's just nothing I can do about it. It's just the way it is, and I've learned to live with it, but trust me, you don't want me to be live on days like that. It's better for me to just hang out with myself and take care of it. So with that said, I would like to welcome my lovely co-reader, Cinnamon Girl. Hello.
Hello, Lynn. How are you? I'm glad to see you back, and never apologize for having to take a day or a week or a month off. We get it. We get it.
Hopefully I won't have to take a month off.
Yeah, we'll miss you too much.
I have taken more than a month off in the past. I mean, it was like a combination of, the blues and things happening in real life and moving and stuff like that. But
yeah,
not all the blues, but
yeah.
Anyway, so did you have a nice Valentine's Day?
Well, it was uneventful. I guess I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
I haven't actually celebrated. I mean, this is kind of sad, but it's also okay. I haven't celebrated Valentine's for me in quite some time. I mean, my boys will sometimes remember, but they were both so busy, it didn't happen. And it was absolutely okay because, the dogs and I celebrated together, but, it was uneventful. How about you?
Same here. Hello, Music City Mom. Nice to see you. So this is my Valentine's Day story. So early in life, I was one of those anti-Valentine's Day people where I was like, oh, what the fuck, Valentine's Day. Hi, lovely Sharon. And hello, Big Girl for Life. I was one of those like, fuck Valentine's Day. It's just a hello, Ms. Mad Dog. It's just a Hallmark holiday, right? And then I was invited to an anti-Valentine's Day party, and the rule was that you had to either be single. Oh, thank you very much, LSU Nancy Drew. Hello, Veritas Equitas. So I was single, and I went, and that's where I met my husband.
Seriously. Oh my gosh. That is so funny. That is some story.
Yeah. We were the only couple that came out of that. So then after that, Valentine's Day was a big thing for us because he then proposed to me on Valentine's Day 2 years later.
Oh,
Then Valentine's Day was like, woo, and then we got divorced.
Hopefully that wasn't on Valentine's Day too.
No, it wasn't on Valentine's Day. But, so I had to get through a few Valentines after the divorce to not feel sad about the divorce.
Yeah.
It was my decision, but still, divorce is sad. So anyway,
yes,
it's totally okay now. I'm right. So now I'm more like, it's just a Hallmark. I'm back to my old stance on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that I kind of came around full circle too. It was sort of like, okay, this is like the coolest thing. And like when the kids were little and, you'd get all the little Valentine's things for their classrooms, and you'd make, cupcakes, and I was all up in that. Right. And then as, time went on, it became less of a, like, about them. And it wasn't really about like the romantic thing either.
Right.
And then it became just like, okay, I'm kind of back to that. Yep. It's nice for other people who like to observe it. And I'm okay with that.
Yes. And welcome everyone here. As Sammy Activity says, please remember to hit the thumbs up Thank you very much. And thank you all for being here. Now, before we get into our reading, which I'm really excited about getting back into our reading because I honestly did miss, continuing the story last week.
Yeah, me too.
I did because we're about to get into the backstory of Ariel Castro, the kidnapper.
Right.
Because thus far, we have been talking about the actual kidnapping and the conditions and Amanda Berry having the child of Ariel Castro. And at this point in the book, the child, Jocelyn, is about 4 years old. And if I remember correctly, she's about 10 years old when they get rescued.
That's right.
Solo's finally here. Yay. But I want to share something with you. I want to ask you guys something. Have you watched Apple Cider Vinegar on Netflix? This is my recommendation of the week, I guess you would say. Let me show this to you. So I can't show you the actual, of course, I can't show you the actual documentary or any clips from it or anything. Hello, Dallas Harlow. Welcome. Hello, Catering Ranch and everybody coming in. If you haven't seen this, I highly, highly recommend it. It is about two health influencers in Australia. One is faking cancer. One really has cancer. The one who's faking cancer is copying the one who really does have cancer. Okay. And because they're both influencers, they're both in the kind of loose friend group, right? And the one who really does have cancer is going on this like super clean health journey a la Steve Jobs. This is another reason it interested me. It's because when Steve Jobs, my former boss, was sick with cancer, he didn't go on, he didn't talk about this, but he tried to cure himself through pure clean diet, and it eventually killed him. It really did eventually kill him. And that's what happened with the real girl who had cancer in this series. And this is all a true story. Okay. The real girl ends up dying because she's trying to follow this pure, clean health journey on her own, just sniffing out the different, alternative to Western medicine methods, and ultimately fails. Now, it's not to say that there aren't alternative ways to get cured, but there are so many scammy different things out there that it's hard to tell what's real and what's not. And they all get scammed. Like people who really have cancer get scammed. And then there are cancer scammers who pretend to have cancer and they scam. And it really well depicts how the internet is used to, it's really well done because it shows how the internet can completely drive you insane in this context. And like if you're kind of caught up in the Sebastian Rogers fuckery and that like rabbit hole of people going back and forth and lawsuits and copying and who's good and who's bad and who's faking and who's not and all that stuff, this kind of shows you how it's so hard to tell, and it's so hard to differentiate the good from the bad when they're all operating via social media. And it's really well done. It's the story is well told. There's really amazing casting. And I hadn't heard of this story before because I guess because it was in Australia, but the girl who faked the cancer and scammed all kinds of people, she ended up getting jail time. And her name was Belle Gibson. The performances are incredible. It's really well done. So watch it tonight, Smesky Rainbow. Watch it. It's really good.
So I was just about It was on my list. I saw it in my Netflix feed and I thought, oh, this looks interesting. And I didn't know the background of this. So I'm so glad you explained it because
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it tonight. Yeah.
I was honestly hesitant because I'm still on my history kick. I'm still
Mm,
in my
right. Yeah.
and I'm still working on ways to share that history kick with y'all, but I'm finding I'm having difficulty doing it in a way that's like me and not boring and stuff like that. But anyway, so I wasn't super interested in it, but I don't know, for some reason I clicked on it and I was like, wow, I'm glad I watched this, because even though it's taking place in a different genre, it still depicts the same fuckery that happens online when people are using the internet to scam other people. It's very, very, it really depicts that really well.
Well, I think, the internet, social media is just a perfect vehicle for this kind of thing to happen,
Obviously. Yeah.
right? Because you're right, it's so hard, I think, for even the average like consumer or somebody who's just doing research to discern what is actually real and what's not, because it all can look very real. And you can create uh, reviews that are fake. You
Right.
can, I mean, there's all of that, and it can all be, if it's something that you're looking for and you truly want to believe like this might be an answer for something, whether it's health or anything else in your life,
Yeah.
it's a perfect vehicle for this kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not to say, I mean, I have been, caught up in things like that, and I think it's hard. It's hard
I
even,
I
right?
think it would be hard for us to look back on our lives and not review a time when we weren't caught up by some phony person. I mean,
Right,
I know
right.
I have been. I
Yeah, me too.
like when I first got into the 12th into AA, I was completely sucked into a mini cult, like a
Oh,
like a mini cult. It was definitely a mini cult.
we should have conversations about this. And
Yeah,
this might be another
yeah, a
this
whole
might be a whole nother episode.
extreme. But it was my sponsor in AA was like a mini cult leader. Like a mini cult leader. I swear to God. And I had no idea what was going on. And I had to literally get out of that cult and deprogram myself. And it was it was crazy. But thank you very much for saying that, Sammy. Activity nothing about you is boring. I have a standard that I like. I come from a very perfectionistic um culture of work. Yes, for sure, Kathy. MLMs, they're very cult like. They need to have that cult like setting to do what they do, honestly. So anyway, but we're here to read a book. We're here to understand what it's like for people, especially kids, who are oh, that's awesome, Sammy. That's awesome. Congratulations to your son. That's a big milestone. Getting that year, that's a huge milestone. So, but we're here to understand what it's like for kids who have been kidnapped, um, and held hostage for 10 years. And, this was before social media was a real thing. So they aren't seeing like daily long live streams where they're being talked about and their parents are being talked about, but they're seeing their family on the news. Their kidnapper is going out and getting flyers about them that their family is handing out and sadistically handing it to them or teasing them about it, or actually even going up to their family members and pretending to care about their welfare and care about finding them. And that it is probably among the sickest things I've ever read about. So I just want to get inside the experience as much as possible, as much as we can, um, so that we can understand about more kids who are going through this today, including potentially Sebastian Rogers. I still hope that he's alive. Every day that goes by, it's possible, it's more possible that he isn't, right? Which is very sad. But and we're coming up in 10 days, it'll be the 1-year anniversary of him disappearing. So that's very sad. It's very sad. And I just want you to know, I don't only think about Sebastian in these scenarios. There are many, many other kids. Teenagers go missing all the time. They run away, or they get kidnapped, or something else, right? But I've also looked at data, and most teenagers, when they disappear, they aren't, the vast majority of time, they are running away. They are not getting harmed by somebody else. And they're not getting harmed by their family. Most of the time, when a little tiny child disappears, a family member did something. But teenagers are usually running away, or they're being squired off by a family member in a custody battle. That's what's usually happening. Or they are kidnapped and trafficked, or something or some horrible accident happened and they died. And since there is literally no evidence to show that any of their parents did anything to him, I just have to run on the belief currently that he's out there and he's alive and he's being held somewhere, and he might be aware of what's going on. He might be watching the internet, just like these girls were watching TV and watching their family members on TV talking about them and crying for them. And one of these girls, her mother died while she was still missing. And she asked her kidnapper, Ariel, can I go to the funeral? And at first he said yes, and then he didn't let her go. It's such horrifying circumstances, and yet these girls survived. So if you're first just joining us and you haven't heard any part of this book yet, there were 3 girls who were kidnapped and held hostage, but only 2 of the girls are involved in writing this book. Yeah, I agree. Sammy activity. 3 girls were kidnapped. 2 girls are involved in this book. The other girl, Michelle Knight, also wrote a book, which I understand is good as well. At this point in the book, we are now starting to hear, we've heard about the kidnapping. I've already talked about this, but just to remind you, we've heard about the kidnapping story. We've heard about the search activities. We've heard about the conditions inside the house. We've heard about all the sadistic things that he's done. We've heard about them being chained up. And then Amanda, he focuses most on her. She ends up having his baby. He loves this baby, but nonetheless, he's nervous about purchasing baby items at the store. So because he doesn't want to be seen to have a baby. So he cuts up socks for her diapers, and it's just the most deplorable conditions. And she hardly ever gets to go outside. And now she's at about age 4, and now we're starting to hear his story and his background, which we haven't really heard up until now. Yes, that's right, Veritas Aquitas. Sylvia Brown, a psychic, told Amanda Berry's mom that she was dead on TV. It was on Geraldo, I think it was. It was either Geraldo. It was on national TV. And so it's almost like, and her mom died not too long after that. So it's almost like her mom gave up. It was Montel. That's right. That's right, Veritas. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let Cinnamon start out reading for us. And let me get this right to the format. And we will go from there. Please remember to hit the thumbs up. And thank you for being here. And let's go.
Okay, here we go. Castro's story, a prickly musician. One day in early 2012, Tito DeJesus got a text message out of the blue. Hey, I'm back in the scene. Do you need my strings? DeJesus didn't recognize the number, but it was obviously a musician looking for work. Everyone knew DeJesus as Tito Piano, and he was well regarded and well connected in the Latin music scene. Who is this? He texted back. It's Ariel. DeJesus laughed out loud. His old friend, Ariel Castro, had finally entered the 21st century. He was texting. Castro was one of the best bass players DeJesus knew, and they'd been playing together for almost 20 years. But he wasn't big on technology. Whoa, Ariel, you're finally getting with it, he texted back. Castro had fallen out of touch recently. DeJesus knew that too many band leaders had gotten fed up with Castro's behavior, always showing up late to practices and gigs and arguing with them over their choice of songs. He was an excellent musician, but prickly and arrogant, and a lot of people thought he wasn't worth the trouble. DeJesus felt sorry for his old pal, so he called him back and invited him over to his apartment to jam. Castro showed up with a 12-pack of Corona, and they went over a few musical charts and new arrangements. DeJesus on the piano and Castro on the bass. Out of the blue, Castro asked, "Hey man, did they find your cousin yet?" "Who?" "Gina. Did they find Gina yet?" DeJesus then realized he meant Gina DeJesus. "Oh, Gina," he said. "I don't know if she's actually my cousin."
We might be related, but I don't know for sure. And no, man, the family hasn't found her yet. We're praying. Well, I hope they do find her, Castro said. I'm praying too. It's a shame what happened to that girl. Castro was more than a decade older than DeJesus and had become a mentor to him. When they first met, Castro said he admired DeJesus's piano playing and told him, "Let's get you some gigs. Let's get your name out there." So they started playing gigs at local Puerto Rican hotspots, and in 2010 they played at the Fiesta de Luz, a big fundraiser at Progressive Field, home to the Cleveland Indians. Someone took a picture of the band that day that shows the musicians dressed in all white, with Castro wearing glasses and a neatly trimmed mustache. DeJesus always thought Castro was a little odd, a weird cat. They often drove together to gigs at clubs in Youngstown, about 75 miles southeast of Cleveland. Even if he was offered a free hotel room because the shows ended so late, Castro always insisted on driving home to Cleveland, no matter the hour. Since Castro was often his ride, DeJesus accompanied him. On the way home from Youngstown one night, Castro was driving his van down the highway when he said, "I got to take a leak." DeJesus told him to stop at a rest area, but Castro said he couldn't wait because he was in a hurry to get home. When DeJesus suggested he just pull over and go on the side of the road, Castro suddenly said, "Take the wheel and open the driver's side door." "What the hell are you doing?" DeJesus shouted. Hold the wheel," Castro yelled. With DeJesus steering at 65 miles per hour, Castro unzipped his pants, pushed the door open a crack, and started relieving himself onto the highway. Holy shit. DeJesus never knew what was coming next with Castro. DeJesus liked Castro, but often found him to be an argumentative know-it-all who was easily upset when he didn't get his way. Someone who argued for the sake of arguing.
He always felt he deserved to be paid more than other musicians, and if he learned that others were getting a higher fee, he complained loudly. He often raged that the world was against him, especially women. The clubs they played together were often filled with beautiful women, and DeJesus watched with amusement as Castro hit on them endlessly, never missing a chance to ask one of them to dance. They were usually much younger and always shot him down, which infuriated him. "Dude, man, you're a glutton for punishment. You look like an idiot with those girls," DeJesus told him. "Fuck those bitches. Fuck them all," Castro said. "Don't they know who I am? I'm a musician." "Whoop-de-doo," DeJesus said, teasing his friend. "You may be a musician, but you're a friggin' school bus driver. Who the hell wants to date a school bus driver? You're nobody special. Neither am I." "Fuck you too, Tito," Castro said.
What a weird fucking guy.
Kidding.
He literally went pee out the door.
It's amazing it didn't blow back on him.
Oh my God. You know what? This reminded me of once I tried out to be a singer in a band, and they sent me. They played covers, but they also played they had a lot of original songs, and they sent me the lyrics. And when I went to show up to to audition, I was like, the lyrics were all about doing hardcore rugs, okay? And I've been clean for a long, long time. So I asked them, I was like, well, is it possible for me to just kind of slightly change the lyrics? These guys weren't a famous band. I mean, they had been around for a while, and people knew them in the area, but they weren't famous at all. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, but man, they were so fucking offended. I don't want to be singing. I was like, I have two kids in high school. I don't want to be singing about slamming, in my veins and stuff like that,
Maybe it wasn't the right fit.
Yeah. Probably not the right fit. I don't know. I really wanted to sing in a band. It didn't work out.
That's hilarious.
Anyway, but literally the guy, the guitar player, he was incredible. This guy was incredible, an incredible guitar player, but you could tell he was completely strung out, So he kind of sort of reminds me of Castro. Now, I'm not saying he's like a kidnapper and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just that whole scenario reminded me of him. Anyway, okay, so we continue on. April 8th, 2012, Easter dresses. Gina, we are all wearing the new sundresses I bought. Last week, I saw a newspaper flyer with cute $10 dresses, and since Easter and both Michelle's and Amanda's birthdays were coming, I asked him if I could give him money to buy a dress for each of us, and he did. Ever so often, he gives me money sometimes when he's in a good mood, and after I wash the floor or do other housework, he hands me cash, usually $5, saying, "You're going to need money when you get out." I think it makes him feel less guilty. Some years I get more than others, but usually I end up with about $50 and spend it on special things like takeout Mexican from Chipotle or poster board. Sometimes he says no when I ask him to buy me something with that money, and sometimes he takes it and buys nothing. The dresses were supposed to be a surprise, but I was too excited to keep them a secret since I didn't get the chance to share good news very often. I wanted to make sure I got ones they liked too, so I asked Amanda what color she wanted. She said there was no way he'd actually get us something brand new. Of course, he got the wrong sizes, so the dresses were way too big for all of us. I hemmed them and made matching headbands with the extra material and elastic waistbands from his old underwear. Ew. Today, it feels good to wear something new as I say my Easter prayers. Every day, my prayers are the same. I ask God to give my parents a sign that I am alive and to please, please, please give someone a sign that we are right here inside 2207 Seymour Avenue. April 2012, 9 years gone.
April 11th, Amanda. Daddy, I want you to take me and Mommy to TD Beth's house. I'm floored. Out of nowhere, Josh tells him she wants to visit Beth. Puerto Ricans say TD for aunt, which she's learned from him. I don't know where they live, he says, dodging her question. Mommy, do you know where they live? She asks. I'm sorry, baby, I tell her gently. They moved and I don't know where they live now. But I really want to go to TD Beth's, she says. I want to play with Mariah and Marissa and Devin. You're just going to have to wait, he tells her. He goes in the other room and Josh starts grilling me. Mommy, where did you live before I was born? She asks. I lived in a nice house with Beth and Mama. Do you remember what it looked like? I do. I haven't been there in a long time, but I had a pretty room, just like we have here. She's been asking more and more questions like this lately, and I'm sure it's because she's tired of being in this house. She goes out with him a lot, but she knows that other kids do more things. She sees it on TV and at the park. Other mothers come outside and play, but hers can never go with her. She's beginning to figure out that this is not normal. April 21st. He says he wants all this to end in a shootout with the police. He knows someday he'll have to pay for our kidnappings, but he's so afraid of going to prison that he would rather be shot dead by cops. He says he has his gun ready. I hope someday that the cops do find us and he gets his wish. No kidding.
Yeah. I'm watching the morning news because it's the 9th anniversary of my kidnapping, and there's a story about me and Gina. Lately, she, Michelle, and I have been talking more, and we've drawn a lot of pictures together. Last year, when he cut off my hair, Gina really helped me through it, and we've been getting along better since then. I let Joss stay in the room when news about me is on. Beth comes on, talking to a reporter, and she looks skinny. Is that TD Beth? Joss asks. Yes, that's her. Wave to her, I say, and we both wave at the TV. Joss steps right up to the screen and talks to Beth. God bless you, TD Beth, and one day we'll get to see you and be with our family, she tells her. Then she turns to me and says, Don't worry, Mommy, we'll see them soon. My sweet child. I've never explained the whole situation to her, but she knows enough to want to comfort me. God, that's amazing. It's Saturday, so he's not working. He comes up to our room at about noon. They showed my nieces and nephew on TV today, I tell him. I love seeing them. They're growing so much. Yeah, Daddy, they're looking for Mommy, Joss says. He looks at me, furious. He points a finger right in my face and says, You're in trouble. Stay in this room. Don't come downstairs. He slams the door and leaves. I'm not supposed to tell Jocelyn what's going on here, but as she's gotten older, it's because it's become harder to hide things from her. I probably shouldn't have let her watch the news reports about me and Gina since she's not even supposed to know our real names. But I was too excited to see everybody on TV. I wait all year for the news reports on April 21, and I always record it on my VCR so I can watch the tapes of my family when things get really miserable.
We're hungry, but I don't dare go downstairs to make us lunch. He's too unpredictable when he's this mad, and now I hear him coming back. Go downstairs, he says to Joss, and she does what she's told. Why are you letting her watch those videos? He yells. It was nothing. I couldn't help it, I answer. She heard it on the news. If I wanted to tell her something, I would have done it a long time ago. Shut up, he says, pushing me across the room. Show me your tape. He sits there as I push the play button and watches the recording I just made of the news with Beth and her kids and all the people looking for me and Gina. Give me the tape, he says. No, I want to watch it later and I want to record the news tonight. You're done recording, he says, pulling the tape out of the VCR and throwing it into the closet so hard that it smashes against the wall and cracks at the corner. You bastard, I scream at him. If I take her out and she says anything to anybody, you're in for it, he warns me, and then storms out again. I grab the tape and check to make sure it still plays. It does, thank God. He always does things like this. I was feeling good watching Beth on the news. Then he ruins my day again. And he scared Joss half to death. When she comes back up after he leaves, and I hug her for... She comes back up after he leaves, and I hug her for a long time. I'm so afraid that one of these days he's going to kill me. Then what will happen to Joss? April 22nd. My family had a vigil for me last night, and I record the coverage of it on the news this morning. I am sure he'll check to make sure I didn't disobey him and record anything new. So I have a plan. If he asks, I'll show him the smashed cassette and hide this one.
When the news comes on, I make Joss close her eyes and turn around, and I put the TV on mute. I have to make sure she doesn't see or hear any more of this. Okay, I tell her, it's over now, so you can open your eyes. Was our family on TV? She asks. No, not this time. Maybe they'll come on another time. I hate lying to her, but I'm afraid of what he might do. She reaches into her little bag and pulls out her last piece of gum. She almost never gets gum, so it's a special treat. She holds it out to me and says, You don't have anything to celebrate your birthday, so this is for you. Time stands still for me. It seems like yesterday, but then it seems like forever. That's what Beth said at my vigil, the night before my 26th birthday. I keep hearing her words in my head, and I write a poem for her. It seems like time stands still. I feel like the world is turning and leaving me behind. Sometimes it feels like day one because I remember it all. Sometimes it seems like an eternity because my heart misses them so much. For me, time stands still. I didn't even get to see my nieces grow into young girls. I hear people outside laughing, kids playing in cars driving by. Everyone else is living their lives while I'm just stuck here, waiting to be by your side. Every day I wonder what's it going to be like for us. All I know is I'm ready for a new life.
Castro's story, Burying Nilda. On the evening of Sunday, April 29th, 2012, family and friends gathered for a wake for Nilda Figueroa at the Walter Martins and Sons funeral home on Denison Avenue. Nilda had died 4 days earlier of complications from her brain tumor while she was visiting her daughter Arlene in Fort Wayne. The official cause of death was an overdose of oxycodone for the chronic pain. She was 48. When Castro entered the funeral home, he was met with whispers and angry stares. Nilda's family blamed him for her death. Her male relatives wanted to take him outside and show him what a beating felt like, but Nilda's sister, Elida, and some of the other women persuaded them to stay calm. Nilda's and Castro's children were there, and nobody wanted violence at the funeral of a woman who had endured so much of it. Castro's daughter, Angie, greeted him. She believed he was sorry for the way he had treated her mother, but Nilda's side of the family didn't say a word to him and stared angrily as he approached the open casket. As he stood over Nilda's body, he said, loud enough for Elida and others to hear, "Man, she was a good cook." Oh, God. Elida found his comment inappropriate, one final slight from the man who had brutalized Nilda for so long, but she swallowed her anger to keep the peace. Castro didn't kneel or say a prayer, show any sign of emotion, but did manage to take a cell phone photo of Nilda's body without anyone noticing. Nilda was buried the next day under sunny skies at Riverside Cemetery, less than a mile from her old house on Seymour Avenue. Wearing his black leather motorcycle jacket, Castro stood alone behind the mourners.
May 3rd, 2012, his ex, Amanda. Tonight we're sitting in the garage. It's been 90 degrees and hotter in the house, but it's a little cooler in the garage, even with the hats and wigs he's making us wear. Jocelyn is watching kid movies on a TV that he plugged in out here, and he and I are talking about Nilda. He says he still can't believe that she's gone. He woke me up early the morning it happened to tell me. He was upset, but I'm not sure why, because he always told me he hated her. He was so frazzled the morning she died that he burned the bacon and filled the house with smoke. He abused Nilda in this very same house. I guess after she left, he missed having a woman to treat like his property, so he started kidnapping other women. I feel bad for his kids because their mother is gone. I know what that's like. He complained that her family bought her a cheap casket. That's pretty ironic coming from the cheapest person I know. But he seemed genuinely sad as he showed me her memorial card and a weird cell phone picture he took of her body in the coffin. Gross, man. May 5th, 2012. Flyer. Gina. He's wearing his tight Be My Valentine underwear again. Gross. Whenever it's hot, he hangs around the house in a tank top and his underwear, and his favorite pair are the Valentine's Day ones. Red bikinis. Whatever, dude. Give me a massage, he says, laying on the couch in the living room. He makes me do this for hours, rubbing his shoulders and his back and his stinky feet like I'm his slave. But at least it puts him in a good mood, so it's not worth fighting about.
"Oh," he says casually, "I saw your mother a little while ago." "Really?" I say, startled. "Where?" "She was out on Lorraine and 105, 105th passing out flyers," he says. "I asked her for one." He says that he was driving by on his motorcycle when he saw her, so he stopped and asked if there was anything new on my case. I'm so mad that he was out there talking to my mom. That's like laughing in her face. I want to strangle him, but I just keep rubbing his shoulders. Where is it? I ask. Can I have it? Sure, I don't care, he says. It's in my jeans pocket in the kitchen. I find his pants folded over the back of a chair. I reach into the pocket and find a piece of folded up paper. I open it and I see in big letters, missing person, Gina DeJesus, and 6 little pictures of me at different ages. I start crying. An hour ago, this paper was in my mom's hands. I finish massaging him and then go upstairs. I'm going to decorate my flyer, and I hope someday I can show it to my mom. I cut out little paper hearts, cover them with red glitter, and glue them to the flyer. I carefully cut out one of those little photos of me. I'm going to put it in a pretty picture frame I made. I'm so hungry all the time. I must weigh under 100 pounds now, probably 30 less than when I got here. I take some grocery store ads from the newspaper and cut out pictures of food I dream about. A strawberry ice cream sundae, a thick ham and cheese sandwich, a pile of onion rings, and a Hershey's chocolate bar. I glue the pictures of food to the bottom of the flyer and tuck it away in the little blue backpack where I keep my most precious things. I'd love to hang the artwork up on my wall, but Jocelyn can read now, so she would ask too many questions about why it says I'm missing, and he would go crazy.
Sorry about that. I was
No
answering
worries.
the question in chat. Jocelyn doesn't even know my real name. To her, I'm Chelsea, but I know who I am. I'm Georgina DeJesus, and my family loves me. June 2nd, 2012, graduation. Amanda. Yesterday was Jocelyn's last day of kindergarten classes, so today we're having a graduation ceremony. I made her a black graduation hat out of construction paper and a certificate of graduation that was very formal and fancy, where it said teacher. I signed my name. We all get together in our room, me and him, Jocelyn, Gina, and Michelle. I asked Jocelyn to stand up and I read the certificate out loud. This is to certify that Jocelyn Jade Berry has graduated from kindergarten. She stands up wearing her hat and steps forward to get her certificate. We all applaud and she says, "Thank you." I'm so proud of her. She has worked hard all year. We had school 5 days a week following the Cleveland Public Schools calendar exactly. We took vacations when real school was out for Thanksgiving and Christmas and spring break. She has learned so many words and numbers and studied all kinds of practical things like healthy eating. I tried to make it fun. I'd say A is for alligator and bounce a little plastic ball to Joss. She would say B is for balloon and bounce it back. We would try to get through the whole alphabet without missing a word or dropping the ball.
It wasn't always easy. There were plenty of days when she was sick of me, sick of school, sick of the same old everything every day, and it was hard to hold her attention. One day in November, he brought her home a lunch from school, a little brown paper bag with a sandwich. I guess they were giving away extras, and she was so excited that it came from a real school. I want to go to real school now. Can I please? She asked him. No, he said, but she kept begging him and asking him why not. It's not time yet, he told her. When is it time? She asked. I don't know. You just have to be patient. We have lots of nice food for the graduation ceremony. He had a year-end party at work yesterday, and he brought us a big dish of leftover pasta and some pop. He also found hundreds of pages of first grade worksheets that were being thrown away, which will be a big help when we start school again in August. Oh God, I can't believe I'm just assuming that we'll still be here in August. Will this never end? But for the moment, I try to make sure Joss enjoys her big day and I tape her graduation certificate to the wall. He opens the pop and we eat the pasta. We're all so proud of Jocelyn and happy for her. I can't remember another time when we were all in one room eating, talking, and laughing. July 6th, 2012, pool time. Amanda. I've been getting more and more upset about not being able to go outside with Jocelyn. He sees me quietly crying when they come back all excited about their latest adventure.
So maybe because of that, and maybe because Jocelyn is asking why mommy never goes outside, He says we're all going swimming today. He gets the plastic pool, the same one I sat in when I gave birth to Jocelyn 5.5 years ago, from the attic, drags it out the back door, and puts it in the bed of his pickup truck. With poles and a blue tarp, he builds a screen around it and then fills the pool with water from the garden hose. He comes back inside and tells me to put on a wig and sunglasses. I stand at the door while he checks again that no neighbors are outside and motions for me to dart out. Mommy's coming outside. Yay, mommy's coming outside. He tells her to quiet down. Jocelyn loves playing dress up with the wigs, and my long black hair only adds to her glee that I'm outside playing with her. I sink into the pool wearing a t-shirt and a secondhand bikini bottom he bought at a thrift shop. He probably paid 50 cents for it since there was no matching top. I begin splashing around with Jocelyn in her cute little two-piece suit and don't know what feels better, sitting in cool water on a blistering July day or looking up at the blue sky instead of the moldy ceiling of my room. Jocelyn is happy and she sees that I am too. For hours, she pretends to fish with her plastic rod and sprays me with her squirt toys. Look at me, Mommy, she says, pretending she's swimming. He fires up his little grill, the kind you can set on a table, and cooks hamburgers and hot dogs. He's in an unusually good mood and puts some chairs in the garage so we can stay outside and eat. He even hands me a beer after he's had a few himself. After a while, he goes inside and lets Gina and Michelle out of their locked room, gives them wigs and hats, and they join us. We all fit in the pool if we fold our legs just right.
I don't mind the itchy hot wig. I don't mind that he keeps telling Jocelyn to keep her voice down. I don't mind that he doesn't let us stand up in the pool because we are taller than the tarp and someone might see us. I've learned to try to make any comfort last. For 5 hours, I have been out in the fresh air. For years, I have been inside dreaming about coming outside, hopping the fence and screaming for help. And now that I'm here, I don't do a thing but breathe the air and play with my daughter. I am not going to do anything to make him change his mind and take away this tiny bit of happiness. It's been a good few days. On the 4th of July, he blew off some firecrackers in the backyard, and Joss loved that. He got sparklers, and he and Joss ran around with them in the dark while Gina, Michelle, and I watched from inside the house. The more Joss goes out, the harder it is to keep her inside. She rides her little white tyke scooter with purple wheels around the backyard while he works on his cars. When he brings her to yard sales to buy toys and clothes, people sometimes ask who she is. He usually says that she's his girlfriend's daughter, but he's careful not to go to the same park, McDonald's, or library with her too many times. He loves to rent Hannah Montana, Looney Tunes, and Beverly Hills Chihuahua at the library and wants to watch them over and over again. But he told me he's worried that a nosy librarian might ask her where she goes to school. She will be 6 years old soon, and she's realizing more and more that there's something wrong with the way we live. Whenever she goes out with him, the last thing she sees is him locking me, Gina, and Michelle in our rooms. He tries to hide his temper from her, but she's seen how he can turn angry in a second and hit one of us. She knows that only she can go in Daddy's car. The rest of us have to stay inside.
A few days ago, she didn't understand why she had to stay quiet upstairs in our room while Angie's two little boys were playing downstairs. Angie's husband had fallen off a roof and was in the hospital, so he was watching his grandkids. Joss could hear them and was desperate to play with other children. He's shown her pictures of Angie's kids, and he's even tried to explain that they're actually her nephews, even though they're all about the same age. But when they came over, he told Joss that she had to stay upstairs. Maybe another time, I told her when she kept asking why. Daddy said not this time. It didn't make sense, and she knew it. July 19th, 2012. Digging for Amanda. I wake up and turn on the TV. Channel 3 has breaking news. Search for Amanda Berry. Some guy in prison told the police that he killed me and buried me in an empty lot at West 30th Street and Wade Avenue. That's 2 blocks from here. They're showing footage from the news helicopters flying right over my head. I hear them. Come get me. I'm alive. You are so close. I wish I could smash a hole in the roof and signal to the helicopters. If only they could see me. There are swarms of police and men in FBI jackets watching the big backhoe digging for me. If I could bust out of here, I could run over there in 2 minutes. It's making me insane that they are so close, but I'm going even crazier worrying about Beth. She thinks they are going to find my bones. He sits on my bed to watch the news and after a while says, "This is crazy."
He usually laughs when the police are chasing the wrong lead, but this time he is nervous and fidgety because they are so close by. I think it also scares him that my disappearance is still such big news 9 years later. He keeps hoping people will forget about me. He gets in his car and leaves, making sure to lock us in our rooms. There's live coverage on every channel, and I watch all day. They have the whole search area covered with a big tent and cadaver dogs sniffing for my body. The streets are filled with people who have come to watch, and I scan the crowd looking for my family. Channel 19 shows a photo of the guy who gave the tip, Robert Wolford. I stare at his face, trying to remember if I've ever seen him. I'm sure I've never met him. I wonder why he's making all this up. The helicopters are still hovering, so loud, right over my head. He comes back from the scene and says he stood watching them dig for my body with the rest of the crowd, trying to blend in, to see what was happening and to hear what the neighbors were saying. It's right down the street. It's right there, he says, pointing in that direction. At 7 p.m., channels 3 and 8 are still airing it. Aunt Susie, my mom's sister, is there, only a couple of blocks from me. They play old interviews with Mom, and it's good to hear her voice. I miss her so much. I'm happy to see Gina's mom, Nancy Ruiz, out there talking on the news too. She's a fighter like Mom, and it's nice she's supporting my family. That means a lot. A few reporters have gone back to our old house, which looks vacant, and the grass is kind of tall. It's sad to see it empty, but I know Beth must have a nice new place somewhere. They're interviewing some guy who says we all grew up together, but I don't remember him. They say Beth is too upset about the dig to go on camera, and that makes me cry.
Now they have my mom's friend Terry talking about the family. She brought a pretty paper butterfly to leave there in case they find my body. July 20. It's day 2 of the dig and I'm still on the news all the time. A police officer just told reporters they're 95% done, but haven't found anything. They brought Wolford to the site to point out where he buried me, but now they suspect he's been lying. I'm glad they're figuring that out. They interview my mom's sister, Teresa, at the Burger King where I used to work. She's crying and upset, which makes me cry more. And she says the whole family is watching on TV, but that they just can't bear to go down there. The newscaster reports that Beth is so stressed that she's in the hospital. Oh no. Gina's mom is still there watching them dig and saying, "I'm hoping it is false." He's watching the TV with me and suddenly says, "Hey, there's Pedro." His brother Pedro is on Channel 8 News. He's wearing a flowered shirt and sunglasses, shorts, and a straw hat, pointing at the dig and saying, "That's a waste of money." His brothers have been to this house a few times, but they have no idea we were here. I think Pedro is just one of those guys who likes to complain, so he's mad that the city is spending money digging for a lost girl. But what a weird coincidence that he picked out of the crowd to interview about the case. Finally, they call off the search. There's a press conference, and a police officer says that everybody wants closure, wants to know what happened to Amanda Berry, and the good news now is that there's still a chance that she will come home. There is still hope that maybe somewhere there is a girl still alive.
I waited all day to see Beth, and now she's on saying, I'll wait forever for Amanda to come home. On the news, I see Marissa and Devin playing on the couch at Beth's house, and I see Beth has a new tattoo on her right arm. It looks like an RIP for Mom. Someday when I'm out of here, I'm going to get a tattoo for my mom too. So many tears are running down my cheeks, happy and sad ones at the same time. But now there's more bad news. My grandma Diane, my mom's mom, died, and my dad's in the hospital in critical condition, but they don't say why. I had no idea. Well, it's about time he croaked, right? he says when he hears the report about my dad. He knows just what to say to hurt me the most. That's just wrong, I answer. You shouldn't say things like that. I'm just telling you the facts, he says. Oh, are you going to say that about your brothers when they die young? Because they're drunks. He thinks about that for a minute. You're right, he says. I guess maybe I'm cold hearted. He has been talking more and more lately about being cold hearted, like it's some medical condition that excuses whatever horrible things he says or does. Gina has been especially kind through these 2 strange days of watching police dig for my body. She drew a yellow cross and wrote across it, "Always believe in hope, even through the hardest times." And tonight we all held hands, me and Joss, Gina and Michelle, and prayed for my dad. Then before I put Joss to bed, she and I prayed again for him and the whole family. I'm scared that this bizarre dig is the closest the police will ever come to finding me. I forced myself to stop
The pages
thinking,
turn.
thinking that way and decide that this whole thing is a message from God.
Some guy in prison makes up a story and it leads to the police within 2 blocks of me. I have to believe it's a sign that the end is near. July 30th, 2012. Searching for JC. Ooh, are they talking about JC Dugard? Amanda. Joss and I are sitting here in our room playing Grand Theft Auto on the TV. She likes to drive around in the cars, but I don't allow her to do the violent stuff like shooting people. He comes in and takes me to go on the internet with him. We got internet access in the house a few months ago, but the only way I can use it is with him since he never lets the keyboard out of his sight, even taking it with him when he leaves the house. I've been hearing a lot on TV about JC Dugard, the girl who was kidnapped for a long time in California. She's written a book and she's doing interviews. I want to know how she's coping now that she's free. How are her kids doing? Let's search JC Dugard, I say. He says okay, but tells Jocelyn she has to go in the dining room and play because he doesn't want her to see it. She answers in pretend Spanish. She hears him speaking Spanish all the time, especially when he's on the phone, and she tries to imitate him and skips off into the dining room. As he and I read about how JC was taken by a guy who was doing meth and who heard voices of demons, he says, that guy was crazy. JC was held captive in a shed in the guy's backyard, and she had 2 kids with him. It was hard for her to talk to the police after they found her because he made her so afraid for so many years. I know that feeling. There have been times when I thought about screaming for help, like when the police were raiding the house next door a couple summers ago.
But I felt so beaten down and frightened that I couldn't open my mouth. JC says she was scared. She was scared of the outside world. I know that I'm frightened that something will happen to Jocelyn when we get out of here. Will I ever be able to let her have a sleepover at a friend's house or go shopping? Even he has warned her about strangers. Never get in a car with somebody you don't know, he tells her. He says that when they go out, she's friendly with everybody. I guess that's good, but it makes me worry, like JC worries about her kids. We read more about JC, and I say, this is just like what happened to me. It is similar because she had the kids, he agrees. Then he looks at me and asks, are you going to write a book about this? I'm not sure, I answer. Do I want to write a book and relive all this? Someday when I get out of here, I know some people won't be able to understand why I didn't figure out how to kill him or escape. It's going to be hard to explain how fear paralyzes you, and I have Joss to worry about. If I fought back and he killed me, she would have only him to raise her, and I can't let that happen. People are also going to say there was something wrong with me because I allowed myself to get close to him. I can't help what people say, but I'm the one who went through this, and only I know what I've had to do to survive and to create the best possible life for Jocelyn. If you write a book, are you going to tell the truth? Are you going to say that you had feelings for me? He asks. Because if you don't, you shouldn't even write it. It won't be true. I am going to tell the truth, I say. I'm going to tell people what you did to me. I will tell them all about the rapes.
I never argue, he says. I hate it when he says that. Does he really think that because I'm not screaming and hitting him every time, it's consensual? He loves that word. Yes, you did, I tell him. You are me all the time. He knows what he's doing is wrong. That's why he locks me up and keeps us hidden. But I don't want to get him mad, so I drop it. Sometimes he is kind to me, and I do feel close to him. If I write a book, I'm not going to lie, I say. If you want people to know I care for you, fine. I'll say that. But it was only like that after I had a kid with you. It wasn't like I got here and said, "Oh, I'm so in love with you and I want to be here." He turns off the computer and tells me, "You got in my car willingly. You got into bed with me because you wanted to. I never argued you. It was always consensual. I never did anything wrong." "I'm going to tell the truth," I say again. August 30th, 2012, bed bugs. Gina, I wake up itching. My arms and legs are covered with little red bites, which is weird because I don't know how mosquitoes could possibly get in the house. The bites are incredibly annoying and are driving me crazy. Michelle and Amanda haven't been bitten at all. "I think you have chicken pox," Amanda says. "No, I had chicken pox when I was 9, I tell her. "I definitely remember that. I missed a lot of school." "Maybe the measles?" she wonders. She says I should stay away from Jocelyn in case I'm contagious. Over the years, we have all had colds, fevers, and stomach aches. She is around school kids all the time and gets sick, and then he is around school kids all the time and gets sick, and then his germs race around the house. But I often wonder what he would do if one of us got seriously ill or broke a bone or had an appendix attack. Even if he found an emergency room far from Cleveland and the doctors didn't recognize us, he knows we would tell people and he would go to jail.
Getting sick is just not an option. He would let us die. In the heat of the summer, I had a lot of breathing problems and was making a scary wheezing sound. I have allergies and told him I thought it was from the mold and dust in my room. I was suffocating and needed some fresh air, and though he wouldn't open the boarded up window in my room, he cut a round hole in the ceiling to the attic and opened the windows up there. He rigged up a fan that was supposed to suck the hot air out of our room, and it did help a, and it did help a bit. When I show him the spots all over my legs and arms, he goes to the drugstore and buys some skin cream. It calms the itching enough for me to sleep, but when I wake up, I freak. Now my face, neck, back, every inch of me has red dots. And then I spot the problem, a plump little bug crawling on the bed. Bed bugs, so gross. I just saw on TV that there are tons of them these days. I show the bug to Michelle and she jumps off the bed. I trap it on a piece of tape so I can show it to Amanda and him. "I can't sleep on this bed anymore," I tell him, showing him the dead bug. "Why are they only biting you?" he asks. "I don't know, maybe they like my blood, but I can't sleep here." Now I wish I hadn't asked for a new bed. A few days ago, I helped him carry a box spring and mattress upstairs. I had been begging him to get us a new bed because the old one I had to share with Michelle was so miserable, an old mattress on the ground. It had been on a frame, but the wooden slats kept falling out, so finally we just put it on the floor. But the mattress was lumpy, and even he didn't like it. After I told him I wanted a regular bed like Amanda's, he found a queen-size one on the curb that somebody had thrown out.
The mattress was so comfortable that when we brought it upstairs, he hollered to Amanda to ask if she wanted it. She pretty much gets first choice of everything. She took it, but I didn't care because then we got her mattress on top of the new box spring from outside, so we were better off than we had been. But now, as I itch from head to toe, I realize the box spring must have been full of bed bugs. So I sit on the little plastic portable toilet in our room since the bed takes up most of the room and there's nowhere else to sit. I don't want to be on that mattress. Last night I dreamed that a bug was with a huge face was laughing at me. I hate this place. Why is this happening? He returns with rubbing alcohol and bleach-soaked rags and tells me to help him wash down the mattress and box spring. When Amanda got her new mattress, before we even knew about the bed bugs, she asked for a sheet of plastic and duct tape to wrap it. She's always so worried about germs, and Jocelyn sleeps in that bed too. Now he realizes what a good idea that was, so he does the same thing to our mattress and box spring. Amanda keeps telling him to hurry because bed bugs move fast. The bugs will never get out, he says, putting more and more duct tape around the mattress. They're locked inside. October 25, 2012, encounter. Amanda. I saw Beth and her daughters at McKinley School, he tells me. I looked at her and she looked right back at me. This is just like last year when he saw Beth in line at Mark's. It makes me think about what a small world Cleveland is. McKinley is just a few blocks from my old house, and I'm only a couple of miles away. We all live a couple of miles away. Sorry.
We all live in one big neighborhood, so why can't anyone find me? I wonder if Beth feels anything when she's close to him. Something strange or maybe familiar? November 6, 2012. Fired. Amanda. My mom would have been 50 today. I kissed her photo this morning 51 times, one for each birthday plus one for luck. Mom's birthday is good luck for President Obama. He was reelected today. I've now missed the first 3 elections when I would have been old enough to vote. I can't wait to vote someday. It's early evening and time to exercise. We jog every night now. He thinks he's getting fat, and the doctor told him he has high blood pressure, so he's suddenly a lot more health conscious. We turn on the music and jog in circles from the living room to the dining room and into the kitchen over and over for an hour, all of us in a line. He goes first, then me, Joss, and Gina. Michelle usually stays in her room because whenever she's with him, they get into a fight. Gina and I have learned it's easier if you don't talk back to him. We look ridiculous jogging, especially him. He likes to wear his sweatpants with the waist pulled way up high. He says that makes him sweat more, which makes no sense, but it sure makes him look funny. Today he's not wearing his old straw cowboy hat, just a bandana around his head. The jogging feels good. Sometimes it's so goofy that it's fun. Gina and I pretend to kick each other as we run, and he mixes in salsa steps. We laugh at how idiotic he looks.
But then later it feels awful again, and the moments when we were smiling and pretending everything was okay are all gone. Gina has felt less and less like jogging lately. She's become more depressed these past few months, and sometimes she doesn't even want to get out of bed. I really have to beg her to get up. Joss gets bored with the jogging too, so she doesn't want to do it for too long. But I think it's helping me feel better. I'm trying to eat less junk too, but it's hard. Ever since Joss was born, but especially in the last year or so, he's been buying healthier food. His doctor told him to eat more fruits and vegetables, and while he still cooks a lot of rice and beans, he makes me steam broccoli or green beans or kale, something green every day. He read on the internet that kale is good for you, so he has that a lot. He suddenly has cucumbers and carrots in the fridge and fish. He started growing peppers and tomatoes in the backyard, but it's annoying because the good food is only for him and Jocelyn. The rest of us still have to eat a lot of McDonald's and other junk because it's cheaper. He buys apples and oranges and bananas, but we're only allowed to eat them if they're going bad. He still has a sweet tooth, though, and loves chocolate so much that he keeps huge Hershey's bars with almonds in the fridge. Mainly, those are just for him, but sometimes he gives us a little. I go into the kitchen to get a drink of water after jogging when he walks in looking happy. I finally got fired today, he says with a smile, holding up a letter from the Cleveland Public Schools saying he's been terminated. This has been his plan for a long time. He's been more and more worried that driving a school bus was too risky, that he would make a mistake at work and the police would come here again. One time in 2004, he left a kid alone on the bus while he went to have lunch. He got suspended, and he said 2 cops knocked on the front door to talk to him, but he wasn't home.
I must have been upstairs chained in my room because I never heard anyone knocking. He says if he quit, he wouldn't have gotten as much money, but now he can collect unemployment, and it's better for his pension too. He says he's been egging on his boss for a couple of years, getting smart-mouthed with him and trying to get fired. Last Valentine's Day, he went shopping at Mark's. He left his school bus in the parking lot and went in wearing his driver's uniform. His boss was in the store and told him he wasn't supposed to be doing personal errands with the bus. He said he was going to fire me, so I said, I don't care, fire me. He tells me. Another time he got into trouble for making an illegal U-turn with a bus full of kids. This way I can spend more time with Joss before all this ends, he adds. He's been saying stuff like that more and more lately, talking about the end, but he never says exactly when that will be. I think he's trying to figure out how we could all go home. I've said to him I could just say that he wore a mask all the time, so I didn't know who he was. I keep telling him I don't have to tell anybody about you, but he knows better. I can't take you home yet. I don't want to go to jail, he says. He is obsessed by prison and watches lockup on MSNBC all the time. I know it scares him. Look at us, I say. We're in jail. We've been in jail for years. He hates it when I say that. This is not jail, he snaps. You are not in jail. He lives in his own little fantasy world. On Sunday, he took Joss to the Westfield Mall for the first time, where she got to ride a little kiddie train, and he bought her these cute Skechers called Twinkle Toes that light up.
He paid $40 for them. That was surprising. She wanted to get her ears pierced at the mall, but he said no. He would have to sign a permission form, and he didn't want to put his name on anything, but he took her to a photo booth, and the pictures of them are actually nice. So I finally can put a photo of her on my wall now. The first one I have of her. I've been dying to get one, and it's taken until she was almost 6 years old. Joss is starting to feel these walls closing in. She feels stuck in here. She asks all the time to go out with him to the festival at St. Rocco's Church or shopping or anywhere. She wants me to come too. I always say I have to clean or just I can't go right now. She jumps in too and says, Mommy has things to do here. She'll come next time. The other day, Joss told me that she wants to move to a bigger house with more space for her to run around. She's growing up, and that is complicating things for him. We can't keep living like this, he says. No, we can't, I agree. You should take us home. It's only a matter of time until Joss tells somebody about how she and her mom and some other girls live in this house. She wants her friend Tiffany from the park to come and play and doesn't understand why we always say no. She's been crying more lately when it's time to go upstairs and gets so bored in the bedroom that sometimes she just walks around in circles. She doesn't want to play with her toys because she's sick of all of them. It's often so hot in this room that he sawed a 4-inch hole near the bottom of the door to let in more air from the hallway. So now Jocelyn will sit and look at the hole for hours, waiting for her daddy to come home. She knows that until he returns, we have to be locked in, and it's starting to upset her more.
She asks all the time why we can't go downstairs to wait for him, and I have to answer, you know we can't open the door. We have to wait for Daddy to do that. I know, she says sadly. She has never known anything else. She's also learned my real name. One day she saw the gold necklace that I wear sometimes that has a charm with my name on it. She sounded it out, Amanda, and asked, is that your name? Yes, but you can't say anything to Daddy, I told her. That will be our secret, okay? Okay, Mommy, she said, hugging me. I wonder what they'll call me, he says. What do you mean? When this is over, I wonder what they'll call me in the newspapers. Maybe the Cleveland kidnapper or maybe the monster. One minute he's saying what a happy little family we are, and the next he's talking about what a huge crime he's committed. I think he's worn down by leading this double life. He has so carefully built and guarded his secret world inside this house, and he knows that Jocelyn, the person he loves most, is the one who could bring it all crashing down. He's clearly trying to imagine how this will all end. It's like a monster just up ahead in the fog. He can't quite see it yet, but he knows it's there waiting for him. Thanksgiving 2012. Perfect little family. Amanda.
I told him how much I want turkey for Thanksgiving. So he got up really early today and went to Save-A-Lot, since they're open 24 hours, and bought a bunch of frozen turkey legs. We can't cook a whole turkey because we don't have an oven, so frying the legs will have to do. They don't have an oven? I didn't even realize all this time they didn't have an oven. I don't even like turkey that much, but Thanksgiving isn't the same without it. And I want to make sure Jocelyn learns all these traditions, at least as much as possible in this place. It's sweet of him to help me. Jocelyn woke up before 6 to watch cartoons. She's been excited because I've been building up Thanksgiving for weeks, and I've put turkey decorations all over the place. She's becoming more aware of the significance of things, including being grateful on Thanksgiving for food and health. He put the TV in the kitchen so we could watch my favorite, the Macy's Parade, while we cook. I love watching the big floats in New York. I've never been on a plane, and I hope I can see the parade in person someday. While Gina and I start picking the meat off the thawing turkey legs and putting it in the frying pan, he and Josh go out in the backyard to rake leaves. Since he got fired, he wants to be with her all the time. She's everything to me now, he keeps saying. She's the reason I keep going. When they finish their raking, we all dance to music in the living room. I want to be with my family more than anything on Thanksgiving, but this is the best I can do today. He and Joss love rice and gandules. I've never heard that word, gandules. So we heat them up in the rice cooker, make some instant mashed potatoes and a box of stuffing, and warm up a can of corn in a pan. We all sit down to dinner in the kitchen and finish with a special treat, pumpkin pie with Cool Whip. I feel like a whale because I ate so much, just like I used to at home. God, I miss that feeling of being home on a lazy, happy holiday. Watching him sitting here with us, smiling and content, it's suddenly so clear to me. He wants that feeling too.
He had a lousy family life growing up and a terrible relationship with his ex. Maybe that's partly what this has been all about, why he stole our lives, why he let me have a baby. He wants that perfect little family he never had. He's created his own world and he doesn't realize it's fake. I feel sorry for him. I'm grateful that he went out of his way today to make us happy. I have never felt closer to him than I do at this moment. But I also know that if I had the chance to kill him right now to get free, I would do it without a second thought. January 2013, pile of chains. Amanda. It's been 3 years and 7 months since he stopped shackling me like a dog, but he won't take the chains out of my room. I hide them from Jocelyn under some blankets and in a toy box, but this space is so small and they're so big and bulky. The other day, when I took the blanket that was covering them off to wash it, Jocelyn noticed them and asked why they were in our room. They're just there, that's all, I said. That was good enough for now, but how much longer can I keep saying things like that to her? I just want them out. No, he says, leave them right where they are. Can I at least put them under the dresser? I told you, leave them where they are. I know what he's doing. He wants them here as a reminder of my 6 years living in chains, a silent warning about how easily he could put me through that again. When he leaves the room, I slide them under a plastic bin. He didn't say anything about not putting them under there.
February 2013, Invisible, Gina. The headphones help. At night, I put them on and lie on my bed, listen to music, and try to forget where I am. I used to have to shut off the music so Jocelyn could go to sleep, but now with these headphones he gave me, I can listen to music all night. Staying up late makes it easier to sleep away these horrible days. For years, if he wanted sex, he just woke me up, but something is happening to him. He doesn't wake me up anymore. He hasn't touched me in months. He still fights with Michelle. I've given up trying to explain to her that there are times to stay quiet, little things to do and not do, so you don't rile the monster. I've run out of ways to help her. In the past, I would say, please stop hitting her. When he went after Michelle, he would say, oh, we're just playing, and stop pushing her around. But now it's like, I'm not even here. He doesn't listen to me. He doesn't stop. I feel invisible. People are outside, walking and driving by. I wonder if my mom is at my aunt's house just down the street. How can nobody know I'm here? I'm so worried that this is how the whole rest of my life will be. My friends have had their quinceañera and sweet 16 parties, graduated, found jobs, and maybe even gotten married. It's hard to think about the 9 birthdays, 9 Christmases, and all the fun in between that I've missed with my family and friends. I was in 7th grade when I walked into this house. Now I'm 23. Jesus Christ. Sorry, I just had to say that. The days are going by more slowly. It's getting harder in this tiny, smelly room. I hate being locked up in this closet, waiting for him to open the door and give me the privilege of using the toilet downstairs. Michelle says we're never leaving.
I used to like to sing and dance with her to the music on our radio. When Rihanna or Adele came on, I knew all the words and got up and danced around the room. Even with the chain on my ankle, it felt good. Now I feel like a block of ice in a freezer. I used to daydream out loud. I used to daydream about loud, happy reunions with my family. Now all I can see in my head are images of being old and gray and still here. When I stand in front of the mirror, I look the same, just a lot thinner. My family and friends would know me in a second, but I'm a different person now. I was never sad before. Come on, Chelsea, think positive. Amanda's at my door trying to get me out of bed. She says I'm spending too much time lying down and I have to move around, and that I have to think of something, anything, that will make me smile. Come over here with Jocelyn and me, she says. Look at all the things I'm going to buy when I get out of here. On her bed are pictures of shiny white kitchen appliances and pretty dresses that she's cutting out of newspaper ads. She says there are tons of pictures here, and I should pick what I'm going to buy someday, cut it out, and keep it as a reminder of good things ahead. Look at these shoes. Look at all this nice food. I miss my mom's cooking and all my relatives sitting around our table. I miss being able to get up to go to the refrigerator when I'm hungry. I see Amanda's picture of a big ham sandwich. I sure would like one of those, and the roast beef sandwich and all the fruits. Amanda spends hours every week copying down recipes from Martha Stewart and other cooking shows. I asked her why she spends so much time pausing and rewinding the same show over and over just to get the exact amount of flour and cinnamon or whatever. And she says someday she's going to walk into a grocery store and buy whatever she wants and make all these recipes.
Plus, she says she needs to occupy herself or she'll get depressed. She keeps telling me I need to keep busy and in motion. I know she's right because misery is taking over my mind. It's gotten harder and harder to get out of bed in the evening when he wants me to jog around the house. I don't want to get up, and I sure don't want to be near him. Please get up, Chelsea. Will you color with me? Jocelyn wants to play, but even that is hard. I used to make her laugh. Now she's trying to do the same for me. When I when I ask him when I can go home, he always says, "One day," but that day never comes. I'm so tired of his lies. I used to like to go downstairs to do the laundry or the dishes just to get out of this room. Now when he makes me go down to clean, I only want to go back to bed. I don't want to be around people. When he sends me back upstairs and locks me inside this closet, I feel relieved. Finally, I think I can lie down. Maybe this is a good place to stop. We've been going on for almost an hour and a half, and we're getting toward the end, and I feel like maybe next week we might be able to finish it. We might get to the rescue story. Maybe.
Yes, that sounds good. Now, Lynn, there is one part in the book that is I have the or the soft copy of the book, and there was one part that wasn't here. I don't know if you want me to read it, but it's about this guy, the guy in prison who lied about Robert Wolford. So if you want me to read it, it's probably a couple minutes long.
Go ahead, read it.
Okay.
I'm going to take the book. So just so you all know, there's something that Cinnamon Girl is now going to read from the actual printed copy of the book that is not in the Kindle that we're reading from. And it's about the guy who falsely reported that he killed Amanda Berry, and that caused them to look for her or to try to dig up for her.
Right.
So go ahead and read it.
Okay. Robert Wolford, who was serving 26 years for murder at a Southern Ohio prison, sent a handwritten note to Cuyahoga County prosecutor William Mason in Cleveland on July 19, 2012, claiming that he had killed Amanda and buried her body. I am writing this letter because I have a confession to make that has been eating me up for the past 9 years. I killed this girl. Her name is Amanda Berry. Me and her were seeing each other at the time. She had a boyfriend. She told me that she was going to tell her boyfriend that she had been cheating on him with me. So I waited for her to get off work, then I killed her. It's eating me up. I want her family to have the chance to rest. So I will tell you where I put her. I dug a hole on Clark and put her there. Wolford was 15 at the time Amanda went missing, so they were roughly the same age. Wolford was in prison for murdering a man in a drug deal at the same place where he said he buried Amanda. Of most interest to the FBI was the fact that the spot he identified fell within the area in which Amanda's cell phone had been last used. Tim Kolinick and 2 other FBI agents drove to the prison in Lucasville to pick up Wolford, who was tearful and repeatedly said on the 4-hour ride back to Cleveland that he was sorry he had killed Amanda. He told them he and Amanda had been dating for about 6 months and that he killed her because she threatened to tell her boyfriend, DJ Diaz, about their relationship, and he didn't want trouble. So he claimed he had poured gasoline into Amanda's mouth until she died, then stuffed her body into garbage bags and buried her. When after 2 days the digging turned up nothing but chicken bones, Wolford admitted he had fabricated the story. The police and FBI never figured out why, but ultimately they concluded that Wolford might simply have wanted a chance to get out of prison for a few days. In January 2013, a judge added 4.5 years to his sentence. And that's it.
Holy shit, man.
Right?
People are such pieces of crap.
Indeed.
I'm just blown away. Oh my God. They're not only insane, they're so I'm not only thinking about this idiot who, did this false confession, but Ariel Castro. The more we hear about Ariel Castro, the more disgusted I get. I mean, like even on the surface, he's a piece of crap, but I didn't know that it was really surprising to me to hear that they started researching JC Dugard.
Right.
Like we're sitting there, she's sitting there captive, and now they're hearing, oh, JC Dugard in California is alive, and she's had 2 kids by this guy, and now she's written a book. And he's like, and then the entire conversation about oh, I've never argued. You willingly got into the car, and then you willingly let me. Oh, you mean that time you chained me to the bed? The time when I was, how old was she? 14, 15, 16 years old, something like that.
Right.
It's just the thinking, the depravity, the sadism, the control, the need to control. Yes, the gaslighter. He is a pig. He's a complete pig. These pigs, man, it is so gnarly. And just the torture of the child. This child, I mean, this girl is now, she's an adult, right? She's a full-on adult now who is probably horrifically traumatized. I'm sure she's doing fine now, but having to cope with this traumatization that, the first 10 or so years of her life, or maybe 7, I don't know, was being held captive and being totally gaslit by her parents about why she has to stay inside and had to be homeschooled that whole time. Right. And, her mommy is lying to her about why she doesn't go outside ever, having to wear wigs inside a, outdoor pool that has a screen around it, and they can't even stand up. Insane. All for this man so he can hold 3 hostages. Now 4, because his daughter is one of them.
Right, exactly. Yeah, BFAM, I was wondering the same thing, where what the child is doing today and how she's turned out.
Um, from what I understand, she's doing fine. I saw an interview of Amanda Berry from not too long ago, and both Amanda Berry and Gina DeJesus have thrown their lives into helping other victims, opened up centers in the community for kidnap victims or, trauma victims. I don't remember a lot being said about the child, but she seems to be doing okay.
It's probably the best form of healing, that they could do is helping
Yeah.
others, right?
And Amanda seems to be a fantastic mother. You
I
know,
bet. I
she,
bet.
she's doing all the best, even held captive. She's done the best she can. She um, homeschooled her on the same exact system and on the same exact schedule as the Cleveland public schools, and was like diligent about it.
The part where we were reading about the kindergarten graduation, I remember that with my kids and what a special, sweet
Yeah,
time it was. And
yeah,
it was heartwarming that she could do that for her, and she tried to create something that was sort of like that, but also so heartbreaking at the same time.
yeah.
It was just, oh my gosh.
Hey, you two bad actors. Yeah, it's so bittersweet because, at the time they made her feel really special. I mean, that was a really special moment. She went to the extent of making her a little graduation cap in a certificate and everything, and made a really special ceremony for her, right? And a special memory. But now that girl looks back on that ceremony and goes, "Oh my God, my mom had to yeah, they even mimicked walking to school and making their lunches every day, everything." And now the girl has to look back on that and go, "My mom had to make all that shit up just to
Right.
like fake normalcy for me." Not know She had no idea what she was going through. And I think a lot of us can look back on our lives and see that our parents were feigning normalcy in various degrees,
Right.
I mean, I know my mom was definitely covering things. My mom had gotten away from my horrible dad when I was an infant, but you know, there was still shit going on that she didn't want us to know about, you know, that I look back and go, oh my God, like, um, but that not to that degree, not to the degree that this poor girl has to look back on and go, my first 7 years of life was completely fucked up.
Right. Right. And she's getting to that age where the awareness of, she's been watching TV and shows and sees that, this is not right. Something is not right here. And it has to be, it's probably made her wise beyond her years in a way because of the way she's had to live and be raised. She hasn't had a normal childhood. She hasn't had like other little kids to play with, or everything she's had has been used and nasty. I mean, I forget what they were describing about using the elastic on his underwear to make headbands or something. Oh my gosh. There's so many disgusting parts of this. It's amazing. And
And
what really gets me is that how he justifies it in his head.
yeah.
How he can just create some sort of fictional thing in his head about why it's okay, rationalize it in
Well,
a way.
but I get the sense that he knows it's all wrong. Obviously, he knows it's all wrong, or he wouldn't take such such
Strides to, yeah.
to cover everything up. But
Right.
those are all those excuses that he makes up in his head to tell other people are insane.
Right. And now we're seeing that he's starting to think ahead. and what's going to happen after all this is over. He doesn't want to go to jail.
Right.
And of course, he didn't spend very much time there, or did he? Right. No, he didn't.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, your mom had you at 16. I'm sure a lot of people here, their parents had them when they were way too young. So then, that's how their their lives at an early age were not ideal, not very ideal. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm not sure if they get in this book into how, maybe a little bit into how life was after they got rescued, and how the girl kind of adapted to life afterward. But I'll definitely be interested in knowing how she coped, what that was like. But also someone mentioned Amanda Berry's 911. Do you guys want to hear that real quickly? Someone mentioned that, and it made me curious about listening to that.
Yeah.
Okay, here, hold on. Let me pull it up. All right. Brace yourselves. This is her 911 call.
America This Morning, America's #1 early morning news.
And you heard some of the stunning 911 call that Amanda Berry placed to Cleveland police there in Devon's Peace.
And nowadays, such calls are anticipated.
I got the speed turned up because I was listening to some depraved person's live stream before I came on. I had to. I'm like, I'm not listening to this on normal speed. Okay, hold on.
Part of a major crime story. Amanda Berry's is truly incredible. Here's more of this extended 911 call. Take a listen.
He called her Amanda Perry. Come on, newscaster. Do better.
Cleveland 911.
Hello, police. Help me, I'm Amanda Berry.
You need police, fire, or ambulance?
I need police.
Okay, and what's going on there?
I've been kidnapped and I've been missing for 10 years, and I'm here. I'm free now.
Okay, and what's your address?
2207 Seymour Avenue.
2207 Seymour. Looks like you're calling me from 2210. Okay, stay there with those neighbors. Talk to the police when they get there.
Okay. Hello?
Yeah, talk to the police when they get there.
Okay, all right. I'm on my way right now.
We're going to send them as soon as we get a car open.
No, I need them now before we get back.
All right, we're sending them, okay?
Okay, I mean, like,
who's the guy who's the guy who went out?
His name is Ariel Castro. And I'm Amanda Berry. I've been on the news for the last 10 years.
Okay, I got that here. I already. Right, the police are on the way. Talk to them when they get there. Okay.
I
told you they're on the way. Talk to them when they get there. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Again, that's part of the remarkable emergency 911.
I got that here. I already. Right, the police are on the way. Talk to them when. We're going to send them as soon.
Look what they looked like. Look what they looked like when they were rescued. They're so skinny and sickly looking. But how relieved and overwhelmed. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And you could hear like sobbing in the background when she was saying.
Oh, it gave me chills to listen to that.
Can you hear it?
We're going to send them as soon as we get a car open.
No, I need them now.
Hear the sobbing in the background. What an insane story. Just incredible. And you can see as they're showing the footage down the street of the guy who was walking by, I'm pretty sure, let me see if I can find it. There's like a long shot down the street. I think it's this guy here. I think. Maybe, but I'm not totally sure. That broke him out. But they interviewed him. We'll watch that when we get to the part where they're rescued. After that, we'll watch the interview with, I think his name is Charles Ramsey, if I recall correctly. we'll watch the interview with that guy. So anyway, thank you all for being here, for hanging in here with us. This is just an incredible story. I have so much respect for what these girls went through and being able to write so fluidly about it. I know they didn't write the book, but it's their story. And my heart goes out to them, and I want to thank my lovely co-reader, Cinnamon, for helping me read. Cinnamon Girl, you're always so awesome. Thank you so much. If you like,
anytime, I love it. I love being here.
Love you being here. I love all my chatters being here. And there is a way to contribute to the channel if you don't want to contribute in another way. But you all just being here warms my little heart. So I will see you all around on the interwebs, and just be on the lookout for my next video whenever I figure out what I'm going to do and what I'm going to post.
We'll be on the lookout, Lynn.
Bolo for my next video.
I'm going to go watch Apple Cider Vinegar now.
Yeah, watch Apple Cider Vinegar. It's good, you guys. I mean, I don't want to. I'm not saying it's like a Oscar award. It's just a really good depiction of how people scam and fuck around on the internet and mess with people's real lives. It's just really good, and you can very easily transplant what happened in that situation to what happens in the true crime community and in many other communities. My issue is that in true crime, it's so much more diabolical because there's victims' families and there's a real thing. It's just so crazy. In the health community, it's bad too, because you're dealing with people's health, and people who are dying and all that stuff. So anyway, thank you all for being here. Have a lovely rest of your weekend, and I will see you very, very soon.
Bye.